Good evening. Hello. Hi, everyone. We'll get started in a few minutes. Tonight, we are talking about validation. I'm Nathan from Rapid Startups. We run a meetup down here in Perth, about 1,200 members at the moment. And we meet once a week online. If you're wondering why I sound a bit funny, I am feeling a little under the weather. My wife's been away for a week, and I've been looking after two sick kids, so might have succumbed to a slight bit of that myself. I just realized this is the 18th one of these that we've done, which is great. So when I first started doing these, I think I started with a couple of periscopes as well, trying to get them both together. And we used to always start with, what are you drinking? You're always drinking something. So I'm not drinking coffee at 8 p.m. I'm actually drinking a primal tea, White Lion primal tea from a friend of mine. It's called Nerdy Lion. It's really good cacao and a bunch of other herbs and stuff in there. It's fantastic. Still able to sleep, but able to focus. So I will bring it for you guys tonight. We'll get started in about 2 minutes. I can see some people coming in there. If you're coming in via the webinar link, you should see it on a page. You should see me up here, and you should see a comment down below. Hello, Brent. I was just helping Brent out with some stuff with his website just prior to coming on here. So I hope that was helpful, Brent. Really great lesson tonight. We're talking about validation. So last week we talked about ideation. This week we're talking about actually taking that idea to fruition as fast as possible. I know it's only lesson 2 of 7, so we'll launch with lesson 7. But let's see what we can actually do after the first one. G'day, Shane. Thank you, Brent. It was fun. Yeah, definitely happy to help. You guys can reach out to me anytime. Anytime you need anything, you can grab me in the meetup group, or you can grab me on here. Anywhere there's YouTube, there's the website. I'm available pretty much anywhere. So grab me on that, and I'll happy to help. Hello, Paul. Okay, we've got Shane from Perth. We've got Paul, Brent. Hello. A few other. I can see a few others in there. Gary Vaynerchuk calls lurkers. If you guys aren't going to say hello, that's okay. I understand. All right, we're on 8 o'clock. So, hi everyone, welcome to Rapid Startups. We are talking about validation tonight. Last week we talked about ideation, how to get your ideas down into a bit of a methodology, a bit of a workflow, sort out exactly what you are planning on building, if it's going to suit you and your why. And then we talked through a bit of a model on that. So tonight we're talking about validation. My name's Nathan. I'm from Rapid Startups. We run a Perth meetup down here in Western Australia. There is around 1,200 members at the moment, going strong. We meet up every fortnight. We're meeting up tomorrow night, Wednesday, in the city. If you're not from Perth, then we meet up every week here on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Western Standard Time, UTC +8. And as you might already can tell, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather after looking after 2 sick kids all week. But I'm okay. I'm fine. We'll get through this. Just ignore my crazy voice tonight. I wouldn't miss this for the world. So I was just saying we're up to our 18th one of these. This is 18. We've gone through a whole bunch of the 7-day startup methodologies. Through each of these lessons, we'll go through one of those days. Today is day 2, and what I call validation. So a bit of a slant on Dan Norris's 7-day startup and exactly what we can do to launch a business in the ways that I've launched them and the ways that I've helped others in the group. So we've launched heaps of group members' businesses over the last year and a half. Year and a half. And yeah, it's great fun. So let's get into tonight's lesson. What I will do in this session, if you are new, you can jump onto the comment section, rapidexecutive.com/live, and leave your comment there. If you are watching this on the replay, you can leave your comments in the YouTube channel as well and reach out to me. We will jump over to a bit of a presentation. I want to show you some things. I want to show you some actual live stuff that will help you, some tools you can use and things like that to actually validate an idea. There's a bit of an example tonight. I'm using blogging tonight as an example, which you can apply to many businesses. It's not just if you just want to write a blog and travel around the world. You could do that with this. And the one I'm going to show you is definitely an opportunity to do that. But you could take this and add it to your content strategy, add it to your marketing strategy. So this will work for many of you tonight. If you are watching this on YouTube on the replay, I might talk a bit fast, so maybe not turn me up to fast speed like I do with people usually. All right, let's get into it. I will flick over to the screen and we'll start with validation. Now, a quick note, guys, if we do get cut off here, it'll cut off for a few seconds only. I have had promises from the telco that this won't happen again, but it still happens. It seems to happen a couple of times every week. But here we go. We are talking about validation. Now, this will go with tonight's very well. We are talking about will it fly in here from Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn talks about this sort of stuff. We are talking about blogging, which he is very famous for that. But his quote from his book, "The riches are in the niches," I think that might not actually be his, but it's a great quote, very apt to what we're talking about tonight. So a quick recap from last session. We always start with our why. What is your why and what will keep you going even in the toughest of times with your new business? Finding out what you're already good at and going through the business archetypes and business models that are suited to you. So if you're looking at an idea, you can go through the business types and models with some examples. And I actually gave you an Amazon FBA as a case study for one of the retail business models. In this session, will it fly? Again, we'll start with our why. I think this is important tonight as well. When we're going through prototyping this or MVPing this or minimum viable solution, which we'll get into in a little bit as well, starting with your why is important. You may end up actually getting to this won't work. And for some people, that's really scary. So you've got this idea in your head and you're working on it and you start telling people, oh, I'm thinking about starting my own business. This is going to be great. And you give it out to somebody and they say, I wonder if it could do that. For some people, that might be devastating. For some people, it might be, wow, I didn't think of it that way. And you could pivot to do something else. We'll also go through an example. So tonight we'll talk about blogging as an example and how you could start a blog from scratch with traffic. I'll also talk specifically about traffic and how to funnel hack someone else's traffic to get to start traffic from scratch. And also talk about some content marketing examples. Excuse me. So let's start with our why, because eventually everything becomes a job. I talk every week about my e-commerce store is doing really well. I have a couple of them, one main one in particular, and every night I get orders and I come home from all my other things that I've got going on and I pack orders. Now, I love my customers and I look after them in customer service. I still handwrite notes to every single customer, but that gets very tricky. And my why is to help those people. If my why was to make money from the business, then some nights I'm tired. I don't want to make money. I want to just go to bed. But my why is I want to help these people. If I don't pack this order, I'm not helping those people. So packing orders till midnight might be a bit painful, but I have my why, so I'm good. So do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. All right, so a quick recap. Last week we talked about the business model matrix. You can go and grab this. That link is rapidexecutive.com/live. It'll actually be there. You can grab the PDF version of this, and they're clickable links if you open the PDF on your PC rather than just print it out. Each of these examples of each of these business archetypes, I've gone and found you a case study, as much of a case study as I could find on these particular people, to show you exactly what we're talking about, how you can look at their market size, how you can see how easy it is to get into this. Some of them are hard, some of them are easy. So take the example of the maker, 3/4 of the way down the page there. If you're going to build a software app and you don't know how to do code, that the entry into that market is quite hard for you. You can't just start writing an app. As opposed to drop shipping something. Drop shipping something is quite easy. You just go and find something that's selling and put it on your own site, drive traffic to it. So there's plenty of examples there. I've broken down all of them. I found you a case study for each of them, and you can go and have a look at those. So that is available as a PDF download. No, you don't need an email or anything like that. Just click the link and it'll download it for you. All right. Tonight we are talking about and as per Dan Norris's 7-day startup, he calls this day 2. He calls this WTF is an MVP. So MVP stands for minimum viable product. Now, in the Silicon Valley startup community type vernacular, minimum viable product is how do you get your app or your business up to its minimum viable sellable piece. How can you get something like Dropbox to actually store someone's documents for them, and you can get people to log in and they can store them and get them and share them around and stuff. So you want to get to minimum viable product. Now, there's a difference between prototypes and minimum viable products. So prototypes don't usually solve the customer's problems, whereas an MVP can. We'll get into that in a little second, but I do want to draw just one quick scenario for you on the difference between a prototype and an MVP and how important this is for us and our small businesses. So an example that was explained to me, now it does come back to that startup community again, but we were talking to some a startup community recently at a hackathon. One of the guys was talking about drones, and he said, I have a startup idea. Now tell me if this is a prototype or a minimum viable product. So he explained, I want to build high-tech drone technology that I can sell to farmers and agricultural people, and it will fly over their fields and it'll tell them the soil composition and areas of their soil that they can fix. And it's gonna, get these really high-end graphical representations and take, sky level, but really detailed photography and all that sort of stuff. So what's my prototype and what's my MVP? Now, one of the guys said, well, put his hand up and said, well, how about I go and find a drone and I put it together, and I go and try and see if I can source a cheaper drone or a top end thing. I can put the camera together. And he started talking and talking and talking. The guy said, look, what you're talking about is a prototype, and that's not going to solve the customer's problem. You go and tell a farmer that you're working on the schematics for a drone. He's going to go, what? Whereas you could say, the solution is I'm going to get you some fantastic agricultural data from your fields that I'll take with a high-end camera. And then to do an MVP, you're selling him a solution. You just go and hire a helicopter and get some really good photography equipment, and you're done. You can automate it with a drone and things later on. You're not selling him the drone, you're selling him the solution. He wants agricultural data about his farm. So I thought that was very cool. Now, what we want to talk about really when we're talking about small businesses go back. Apologies for that. So that'll only happen once. I do apologize, guys, but we are back now. So the minimum viable product versus the minimum viable solution. So think about what you're solving for your customers. Are you giving them a physical product? So your minimum viable solution is a sample of your product. Get them a sample. Don't tell them about what you might give them in the future, because that's not going to help them. Minimum viable product for an app or some sort of software or something like that, that makes sense. But for a solution, minimum viable solution, what can you solve for your customer? What are you trying to solve? Get them to minimum viable solution. That's where you can validate. So let's look at an idea and go through how we would validate that. So let's say our idea is on the start a passive income blog. So let's go back to our business archetypes. We're covering things like thought leader or mediapreneur or even retailer when it comes to this sort of stuff. But I will use Pat Flynn, smartpassiveincome.com, as an example for someone that's actually making a lot of money from a blog itself. Now, he has a whole bunch of other things that he's built out of this, but that's where he started. So we need to go where the fish are. How could you start a blog? So an example, find a product that's selling and blog about it. This is Oprah's #1 product for 2015. So that comment alone is enough to drive this ridiculous amount of traffic. If you have listened to anyone podcasting from the US lately, they've probably mentioned the Amazon Echo. It's around a lot in the US. There's not much here, but there's definitely a lot in the US. It's 33,000 customer reviews and counting. Hasn't been around that long. So it's pretty awesome. Selling out like crazy. So is it a big market? Is it a hot product? So 2015 share of the speaker market and the change in that. So over the last year, 2015, I think that's financial year. I hope you can draw a correlation there. The market for Amazon was probably very, very little. So this bar correlates directly to this here. So Bose had everything and nothing until Amazon came along and completely took the market. So speaker market definitely grew. Now, I haven't been able to grab the exact sales of the exact estimate of sales for Amazon Echo, but just to give you something to draw a parallel from, the SoundBot, it's a water-resistant Bluetooth speaker. Similar thing, but it doesn't do exactly what it is. Has 2,000 reviews and is selling $40,000 a month worth. Now, the Amazon Echo, one of the most popular products in the world at the moment, especially in the US, 33,000 reviews. So not all of those would be from customers, but you could think that they've sold that many and haven't been around that long. So we're talking thousands a month, and they're $180. That's a lot of money. So it's selling well, but the fortune is in the follow-up. So who's actually serving all these people that have these Echoes? People that want to talk about it, people that want to learn how to use it, people that love it and want to talk about it with their friends, want to find out exactly what it can do for them, some of the uses, etc., etc. So if we Google Amazon Echo and blog, so if you Google any topic you like and put blog after it, it will tell you all of the blogs that are currently serving that market. There's one, just one, lovemyecho.com. So he has a very small piece of a very large pie. And as he grows, he could have a very large piece of the very large pie. So there are some tools out there that can tell you what a site's worth just on the surface. So how much traffic it's driving, its potential ad revenue, the referencing sites and things like that. So I can't remember exactly which tool I've used here, but there are tools if you want to find out these sort of tools. I think it's like web price and things like that. I used one here that tells me that he registered his company in May, this website, lovemyecho.com, in May of 2015, which was not long after the Echo was announced. And we're now just after May in 2016, and his website's already worth $22,000 just on the surface. If you went to a website flipping site like flipper.com and listed this site, you could chuck this in here and people would pay more, because this is the bare minimum that places like Alexa and website registers would see this as being worth, just for the amount of traffic and specific niche traffic that this is getting. So this website actually has some links to buying Amazon Echoes, and also some, I guess, trinkets and add-ons that you can get to that. And I don't have a slide for it, but on closer inspection, it's using Amazon referral links. So if you have a Amazon affiliate account, which you can sign up for free, each one of those clicks, whatever people buy from Amazon after they've clicked on that link. So think of it this way: you've gotten people to your website to talk about Amazon Echo. You've got a little Echo holder or Echo wash bag or Echo beach sand protecting bag, wetsuit bag or something like that, so you can take the Echo to the beach. I don't know why you would, but I don't have an Echo, so I'm clutching. So you've got these little bags. People click on that and they go to Amazon and they say, great, I'll buy this $10 item. You can get 7% of that just from that click. But while they're there, they say, I love this Echo, I'm going to buy 2 more. One for my friend, one for my mum. It's going to help her with some things around the house. Oh, and I need to buy this other thing, and it's Christmas time, so I'm going to do a couple of Christmas shopping. You'll actually get 7% of the entire cart that person buys after that click, which is crazy. So the potential Amazon referrals just from this site is huge. So how do we break down what these guys are already doing so we can potentially get in front of these customers as well? So let's look at our business breakdown tools from our last session. We've got Built With that says that this is a HostGator hosted site. They're using WordPress, which is pretty simple. Their WordPress theme, WP Pinup, which is I think it's actually a free theme. It looks like one of those news websites where it's got your little blog image plus your blog post, and then you click on it, it takes you to the actual post. Now, how do we find the fish? How do we find these customers? Now, we talked about this tool a couple of times in some previous sessions. This is a fantastic tool to funnel hack people's traffic. So let's reverse engineer what they're already doing as far as traffic goes. So this tool is called similarweb.com. There's a free version, there's a paid version. The free version gives you enough to get started. So lovemyecho.com, chuck that in the search results, and it tells me their global rank, all their Alexa details, what they're ranked in the US, obviously quite a lot higher because it's very specific to the US because Amazon Echo is available in the US. And it tells me their visits. So they started a little bit earlier than this, back around May, and they would have grown reasonably quickly to get from 0 to 50,000 a month visits, which is crazy for such an early site. In September 15, and they're right up around February. Now, Christmas time on Amazon is bananas, fourth quarter. That's why that traffic would have gone up there, but it's kept up there. And as the Echo becomes more popular, if you're writing some sort of trend with a product and they become more popular, they're going to get bigger over time. So he's serving a market and no one else is serving it. He's just bound to get bigger. So click is a click is a click. Where are they getting their organic traffic? Where are they getting the traffic that they have control over? So organic, or their authority traffic, 67% of their traffic is coming from organic search. Now, Brent asked earlier around some SEO stuff. If you are the only one on the market, SEO is going to be kind of irrelevant. If you've got Amazon Echo in your blog and titles and images that have echoes in them, then no one else is covering those things. All of that search traffic, that's your SEO done. Simple as. Now, if there's lots and lots of traffic going to lots and lots of different places, then SEO can help. And social media really will help that as well. Now, having said that, paid acquisition. Let's have a look at the traffic they're paying for. So they aren't paying for any traffic. So on this side of here, there actually would be links saying that they're paying for traffic. Now, as far as they're concerned, they have complete market dominance, a complete monopoly. There's no reason to pay for traffic. They're not competing with anybody. But the reason I bring this up is there's 684 organic keywords here that you could click on and target and dominate. If you were paying for those 684 words, he would come up to number 2 on the list because he's not competing. So how does paid traffic work? Let's give you a little example. So recently I did a $4 experiment and in one day managed 1,000 impressions for 6 clicks and 3 signups for an offer, just to get some people, I think it was into an offer for my e-commerce store. So how does this work? This is how the funnel traffic works for paid traffic. So at the top of the funnel here, you have, let me turn my pointer on, there you go. Top of the funnel, we have 1,000 views. And if you are paying for clicks, you're paying for impressions or views, the amount of people, amount of eyeballs that would see your ad or your content that you're paying for. Once you qualify those, they'll come down into clicks or leads. And some of the traffic you can pay for would be optimized for clicks, and some would be optimized for conversions. So people who usually click and then do some action, they'll put those conversions in. Now they're a lot more expensive. So I paid for clicks here that took them to somewhere they could sign up. So I wasn't optimized for conversions. I was optimized for clicks, but it cost me $4 to get 3 people on my email list. So $1.30 each. They went on to buy a couple $100 worth of stuff each. So very, very worth it. Very worth it. that was my experiment. That's an easy way for you to validate stuff with your idea with paid traffic. As an example, you can target influencers. So for example, if you have a blog in the personal health space or in the personal growth space or the business and entrepreneurial space, and I will use one person as that influencer, Tony Robbins. If you wanted to target Tony Robbins for get 1,000 people who like his stuff, so people who have I love Tony Robbins on their Facebook, in Facebook's eyes, so Facebook will see these people as influenced by Tony Robbins. You can get 1,000 of these people to look at your thing. Facebook will put your ad in front of those 1,000 people, and right now the going rate for that is only $10. So you can see how powerful this marketing could be. If you can get 1,000 Tony Robbins fans to look at your thing and 6 of them clicked over, these guys are usually high-end people that can afford to go to his events. So that's just an example. A very important lesson I learned at the start of my e-commerce was paying to play. If you don't pay to play, it's very hard to compete. But if you do pay to play and you do it right, you can absolutely dominate. So I carved out quite a large portion of my competitors' market in a very short period of time. And that was through paid traffic, and not a lot. So I probably decreased my margins by about 2%, but I increased my revenue and profits by quite a lot. So the next lot of traffic to get to validate your idea is through social and referral. So this is traffic that's it's on their website already. So it appears that the lovemyecho.com site is getting a lot of their traffic from Reddit. So these are probably people talking about Amazon Echo, and then Facebook. So I went and had a quick look. I don't think they're doing a lot of Facebook stuff. So this is actually people sharing their blog posts already organically without them actually going out and pushing it out. So it just goes to show that this is a completely underserved market. There's a lot of opportunity just with this one place. You can also see with this tool who's already being served by this. So who's actually linking to this blog already. So Feedly, Fortune.com, EchoTalk.org, which I think is an Amazon led site, blogs.anythings, and PC Mag are all linking to articles written on Love My Echo. And he is pushing out links to, obviously, Amazon.com. And then I would say that IFT is actually, he's using that to automate something, and Alexa.amazon he's using for site traffic and things like that. So some reports he's probably getting his own things. I'm not sure what Rhyme Zone is, but he isn't really pushing out a lot of info to other people. Right, can you get started today? Because your authority builds over sometimes a small amount of time. You need to get started, and over time it will increase. As we saw with this guy, he started in May 2016 and he actually registered his domain. And within a few months, he had 50,000 monthly recurring visitors, which is crazy. And it's growing exponentially since then. All right, so content. What can we write about to actually get started with this sort of stuff? Okay, I recommend that you don't guess. And remember to go where the fish are. So what sort of content is already being produced and already resonating with people? What are people already reading? So the way to find that out is one more tool called buzzsumo.com. Now, again, this is a free tool. I think if you use 3 or 4 searches per day before it will say you need to sign up. But for free, you get some fantastic results. So we can come into buzzsumo.com and type in Amazon Echo. And what that will give us, apologies for that being a little blurry, hard to read. If you've got this on full screen, you should be able to see. This will give you a whole list of articles, plus on the right-hand side here, the sum total, and then broken down by each type of the social shares. So this gives you user engagement that this article has on the internet. So popular articles means popular titles, popular content. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can just go where the fish are. People are already talking about trying to solve the murder of Batman's parents with Amazon Echo. Okay, that's fair enough. But you don't want to compete with press releases. So Amazon releases the Amazon Echo. That's not really going to be a great article for you because you're not Amazon. Same with Amazon on the Kindle store. Not very great. A review, is Amazon Echo worth it? Maybe, but it's more like riding the wave. So Amazon Echo 5 months in, there's still a lot of shares here for even things like Amazon's brains finally in gadgets actually want to use. So you can use this traffic to start to drive your decisions on what sort of content. So back to the competition. What's the number one blog already doing? You can use BuzzSumo again and type in the actual URL of the site. So if you want to compete with someone in your niche that's already doing this sort of thing, you would take their URL and put it into BuzzSumo, and it'll tell you their top performing articles from a social sharing perspective. So again, if you're in the personal health growth space, you might take TonyRobbins.com or something like that and put that in here, and you'll see the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 articles that that site has, and how many shares they're getting and what social networks are resonating for them. So as you saw before, 20% of the traffic from social that comes to lovemyecho.com is coming from Facebook, and that's pretty evident by the amount of shares relative to the rest of them that they have on Facebook. So you can see the number 1 performing article there is how Echo can help care for aging or disabled family members. Interesting. But it still only has 99 shares. So again, another indication that this is a completely underserved market. They're still getting some stuff. Now, if you start from scratch, it's going to be hard to build, but you could get some paid traffic in front of these people. Just one more thing I want to cover on this one. If you haven't heard of Brian Harris or Video Fruit, I recommend after this going on to videofruit.com and searching for the vacuum formula. It sounds like a bit of a mouthful, but effectively I've gotten you guys to here, and what he says is if you click export here, it will export all of these social shares for all of these articles into a CSV file, into an Excel document. Inside that Excel document, you don't just get the numbers, you get the handles for all of these people. You actually get the real people, their social profile, actual link. So 16 of these people are Twitter sharers, and it could be at Nathan at Twitter or at Life on Auto site. It'll actually give you those usernames. And what Brian talks about in the vacuum formula is actually converting those to email addresses and starting your list from scratch and emailing those people. Now, not in a spammy kind of way, but you could reach out to all these people and say, hey, I saw that you liked or shared this article. I've been writing about Amazon Echo as well. Thought you might be interested in this as well. It's not spammy. You're not being nasty. You're being helpful. You've shared something that they've shared, and you haven't asked them for anything. You just said this might be useful for you. So that's a way of actually driving traffic back to you and finding people that have already resonated with this and getting them to come to you as well. Okay, quick recap on validation. So we said this last week, and we'll say it again this week. Go where the fish are. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Starting from scratch is hard, but you can start to reverse engineer what's already working for somebody else. We talked about a few traffic building examples. So using someone else's traffic, competing against someone else's traffic, and identifying opportunities for that they're not taking already. We had a look at some content ideas and how to serve that market better with that content. And I say this every week, you just need to take action. This guy took action. He started a blog from scratch. Hasn't got a great lot of info and detail on there. I've had a look at his site. He's getting better. And so he should, with over 100,000 unique visitors every month. He would probably realize he's onto something there and start working at it. but you definitely need to take action. You definitely need to start. Okay, to download all of these notes with all the tools and the links, you can jump onto rapidexecutive.com/live. Most of you guys are probably already on there, and grab those. You don't need an email address or anything like that. Just click the button and it downloads as a PDF. And as I said, we also have a little bit further down the business archetype matrix as well, with all the case studies for the types to work out where your idea sits. We talked about Will It Fly a couple of times. I actually have the book here somewhere. When I come back, I'll show you guys. Wasn't really prepared. But entrepreneurs are notorious for idea churn, starting something new only to abandon it for another idea. I'm definitely guilty of that. Over the last couple of years, I've started hundreds of things. I've flicked from one thing to another until I realized that focusing on one thing until successful is definitely the way to go. And it worked. It worked for my e-commerce stores, and it's working for some other businesses that I started and actually focused on until they became successful. My current one is Amazon FBA. That is what I'm focused on at the moment. I still come in here every week to help you guys out. I really want to see you successful in your businesses. I love seeing people start. I love hearing about what they're doing and getting those ideas off the ground. It's still one of my favorite things to do. But as far as business goes, I'm double down on Amazon FBA at the moment. But having said that, I still do some Skype calls with you guys. If you do need to chat about these sort of things, if you want to talk about the validation of your idea, if you want to ideate your idea with me, if you just want to throw some things back and forth and get some help with your idea or your business or your website, let me know. You can jump on rapidexecutive.com/coaching and grab one of my 15-minute slots. They fill up pretty fast. I think I've got 3 left. So you can jump on and grab one of those if you like. All right, now I am losing my voice very fast, so I do apologize for that. But I am on the chat if you guys want to jump on and ask your questions. I didn't get a hell of a lot come through this time, which is good. You guys can jump on now and ask your questions if you have any questions about tonight's stuff or about last week's, about your ideation, or just generally about your ideas or your businesses. Let me know in the comment section. .com/live. I will just get us back to here. Now you can also chat if you're on YouTube on live. You can chat on the chat box within YouTube, the comment box as the live comment box. Some people complain that it will. Oh, thanks very much. It doesn't work on mobile, so hence why I put another chat box up on rapidexecutive.com/live. Yeah, thanks, Paul. I hope I feel better too. I have a big day tomorrow. I've got a whole heap of orders to pack tonight as well, so I do need to get off onto that. I also have my FBA team has been away this week, so they're back this evening. So I've got our weekly team meeting straight after this as well. All right, Shane, hey, I'm looking at selling a product using Amazon FBA. Cool. You previously mentioned that you used an import agent in China. I do. I'm thinking of doing the same. Did you find this worthwhile? Yes. So China is the manufacturing hub of the world. It is not because they're the cheapest, it's because they're the best. They're so good at it. Export agent, yes. So yes, the dog slept on his bed tonight instead of at my feet. So it's me with the funny voice, not him snoring. So some things that you can get in trouble with China is export shipping. So if you're starting new, you might have a small shipment. For a large manufacturing factory, a small box is more of an annoyance than a shipment to them. So it might get chucked into also, thanks for the brutal picture again. Sorry. Your box might be a hindrance more than an actual, a customer's prized possession. So it can get chucked under a whole bunch of things. So what an export agent will help with is the shipping. What they what I've found the most benefit with, so that's what they'll push their service. We'll help you get the boxes out and label them up and blah, blah, blah. If you are not visiting the factory yourself, which if you're starting from scratch, I'm assuming that you're not, and I didn't for my first 3 either, and I will eventually, but not at the moment. I'm probably going to get to a product 10 before I actually go to China. I'm using a couple of different factories as well at the moment, so I'm looking to probably have 2 or 3 rather than 10, and definitely not 1 because that's too risky. But what the export agent is doing for me that's important to me, because I'm not actually seeing the product. My first product I shipped to Australia. Now it costs me to ship it to here and the same to ship it back to the US. So that eats up a lot of your margin and it takes a lot of time as well. So what I was getting those guys to do is go to the factory, open up the boxes, take photos. I gave them a list of things to check. Did every box have a package in it? Does the packaging look new, as in it doesn't look like it's banged up, it's been sitting around in a moist, damp box somewhere in a corner? Is the product actually the product that I wanted? Here's a photo of the product that I bought and I paid for. It doesn't look the same. So I gave them a checklist of things to do when they were there. One time they drove 4 hours to the factory, opened up the boxes, took the photos, found a problem, asked the guys, there's supposed to be 47 of these and there's only 46. Oh yeah, no worries, we forgot one, chuck that in there. Taped it back up. They asked for some more packing to get it a bit tighter inside the box. Taped it back up, put the new labels on it to get it to my import agent on the US side, and shipped that off. And the whole thing cost me less than $100, which is crazy. Like, it's crazy. Like, they would have taken me, like, the fact that they spent 4 hours driving, like, probably took them 4 hours to drive home. I didn't need to be in China. I got all these photos and my checklist ticked off. It cost very little. They charge me 10 cents an item now that I've done one hourly pay thing. I don't think I paid for their travel time. I think they just paid for the hour that they were there. So it's quite cheap and valuable. I found it valuable to do it that way. You can ship the product to yourself, check it out, and then send it on. You could do it that way. I did that for my first product because I just wanted to test the whole process out. But we found a sourcing agent, we call them a sourcing agent, who can do exports and who also actually does some of our photos as well. You don't necessarily need to find that much of a jack of all trades, but she's fantastic. So I definitely recommend an import agent or an export agent from China if you aren't going to get the products shipped to you. So I wouldn't just send stuff straight from China to the US without looking at it, because all sorts of things could go wrong. Hope that helps. Shane, Brent, with FBA, a previous podcast, you mentioned using an agent stateside that did the receipting on and Amazon tagging for you. Is this recommend go-to list for these services? Is there a recommend? Yes. No, so definitely different to the export agent. The export agent is China side. They speak Chinese. They help with all of the Chinese type stuff, and they'll ship to my import agent on the Amazon side, on the US side. So Amazon won't accept imports directly. So you can't just send stuff straight to Amazon as the importing agent from China. If you bring it to Australia, you can send it to the US, and there's like an onboarding service that you can get to Amazon using Aussie Post. It's not great once it lands on the US soil in customs. Aussie Post have done some things to get it moved to the next levels and onto Amazon, but you have no tracking from there on, and that's Aussie Post failing. They don't have any ability to see past customs on the US side. They've sorted it all out for you from there on, but there's no tracking. So it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 4 weeks, and you have no idea where it is. No one can track it until it lands in Amazon's FBA warehouse. So that was a horror story that I heard from one of my students, and they were like freaking out. Like, I have no idea how to help you. I spoke to some guys at Aussie Post that I know of, and they're like, that's as best as we can do. So I use an import agent. I use FBAimporter.com. There is probably 15 of them now. And usually they charge around 10 cents an item to relabel, and the shipping fees. So shipping fees from US to US to Amazon is ridiculously cheap. Like you can send kilos of stuff for pennies. They've got some really great rates, so it's not expensive to ship from there to there, and the cheap, like the 10 cents to label, it's 20 cents I think to label in Amazon, and they charge 10 cents, but it's a minimum. You have to do their labeling service to cover their, I guess, their costs. But I think my first one cost like $40 or something to get like hundreds of my products relabeled, repackaged up, the stickers stuck on, all the FBA import stuff. So they actually contact Amazon, get the shipping labels printed out, print out the shipping labels, ship it into Amazon, track it back in, all that stuff. And the Amazon FNSQ labels, and they do everything. There was so much stuff that I didn't know it had to happen. They did for me for 10 cents an item, hundreds of items shipped in for $40. So it was so worth it. Cool. I hope that helps. There are a list of import agents. If you just type Amazon FBA import agent, that comes up with a list. I think there is even I think even FBA Importer has a comparison sheet as well. I think a whole bunch of them tried to compare each other to each other. I've started using FBA Importer. I know a whole bunch of other people that are doing that, and their service is just fantastic. I gave inventory management user access to an email address, and every now and again they send me a please pay this on PayPal. that's literally everything I have to do with them. They do every single thing else for me. I send them stuff, and I don't even need to tell them that it's coming. They just grab it and go, cool, that's from you. I know where it goes. I know how to send this in. I know how to. They do everything. It's fantastic. As far as export agents go, do you have any recommendations for choosing one? Yes. Talk to them. We talked about in the FBA podcasts. You can go to rapidexecutive.com/FBA. I think gives you a list of the podcasts as well. Podcasts of the of these lessons. I don't know where I got podcasts from. It's the same. I guess it's the same. Why I'm saying it like this, you are trying to find culturally an entrepreneurial Chinese person to help you with this. Why that's important is you definitely want a Chinese person because culturally they fit. You also want someone who's a bit of a go-getter as well. When you're talking to, it's the same as when you're talking to your suppliers. You want to talk to them as if they're humans. So I recommend going and talking to them. Going in, there are, even Alibaba has a export agents link on the top of their site, a whole list of them. So you can go through a bunch of those, but I recommend talking to them. I recommend grabbing a list and just start checking them off, saying, can we chat on Skype? Are you happy to chat over email? Are you back and forth? Make sure their language is good. They understand what you're talking about. I wouldn't go with, hi, I'm thinking about starting FBA. I probably wouldn't lead with that because they might not think you're serious, and they might think that you might find more people that want to try and pull a wool over your eyes if you do it that way. Just say you're a sourcing agent here in Australia, and you're looking at sourcing your products that you're currently selling into Amazon FBA, into Amazon, I should say, in the US, and using a Chinese supplier instead of shipping it from here. That's what I've been doing, just to show them that we are a real business. I mean, I do that anyway, so with some of my products, but it just shows that you are professional and things like that. Okay, great. All right, any other questions, guys? I'm going to need to jump off here shortly. I hope this has been helpful. Any of you lurkers out there that want to ask any questions, just pop your little name in there and let us know what we can help you with, or just say hi. Hi. I love meeting all you guys. If you are in Perth Tomorrow night we are meeting at 5 o'clock in the city. We meet from 5 till 6:25. They kick us out of the boardroom where we are, and then we can jump on down and grab some food. Hey, anonymous 218. You can click on your name and type over it. Found it very informative. Thanks. Welcome. Yep, we meet every week. We talk about stuff. Next week we're actually going into naming your thing. So we talk about the ideas around naming, starting your marketing with naming and branding and things like that. Thanks, Paul. So next week will be naming. Tomorrow night we're actually talking about validation again, a bit more about MVPs and MVSs in person. So if you do want to come down and say hi, I should not be very, I won't be very, I can't even think tonight. I won't be contagious, I promise. No, cool. Okay, Brent, quick one. Is there a min or max product number for FBA stock? Can I answer that with a question? Why and what are you thinking about minimum? Because you can run out of stock, obviously, and no one will be able to buy your stuff. You can start with one. You can retail arbitrage or online arbitrage one and sell under someone else's listing without even creating anything. You can start with like very minimum. Max depends on the size of the product, but there isn't really a max, so you can send thousands in. If you have an oversized product, I think at the moment the max is, especially for a new account, I think the max is between 200 and 500, it might be 500. They will say, based on the size of this, we don't have enough stock space. We don't know if you're going to sell it, so we don't want to take up too much room here. We're going to limit your account to be stocking 500 or so units because it's oversized. So that's how min-max works. Like you can start with one, but if you sell it, you're going to be out of stock and your rankings will come down. One of my products I just launched with 30, and it was a pretty low priced item. Actually, my first two products I launched with 30. The first one sold out straight away and my rankings came down and that was a bad idea. We finally got new stock in for that, and the second one flopped, which we talked about in the last one as well. So we're just liquidating that stock out. And that's actually going quite well. Where's the boardroom? Okay, so if you are in Perth, 191 St George's Terrace, which is the HSBC building, we're on level 1. So if you come through the old school big windy wooden doors, come through to the lift, level 1, and it's Beecham Group. Hey, Barry. Thanks for coming on. I think that's your first time, Barry. Nice to meet you. Let me know how you're going with your business as well. If you want to reach out here, or you can reach out on Meetup or YouTube and say hi and tell me a bit more about your business if you like. For anyone going to FBA, it helps if you talk about your niche, not necessarily your product. Where's the best place to park? I'll come back to that in a sec. Usually people don't talk about their products. I haven't really talked about my product either, but I am in the coffee niche. So it does help to talk about your niche if you're talking about getting a product in there, because it can be specific and a lot of things are different for different niches. The whole approach is different for different niches and stuff. So I can definitely help with FBA stuff. If you talk about your niche, I can tell you some specific things around that niche as well. So Paul, where's the best place to park? I park back up on, actually you don't get to it from there. So on Hay Street, there's a park up from King, His Majesty's Theatre. I park in the next one up, which is next to the old, what's it called? The music shop. I'm blanking on the name. Apologies. There is a parking space there. It's relatively cheap, and you just walk straight through the back to St George's Terrace. If that's a bit tricky, I just park in His Majesty's and walk down to St George's Terrace. So Hay Street, or you can get to it from the one behind that, which I think is it Milligan? William. No, William's the other way. Sorry. I know how to get there. Just not exactly sure on the names. We kick off at 5. I'll be there right, probably 5 minutes to 5, and we go through at that place till 6:30, about 6:30, and then we take off down to either probably the Holiday Inns. They've just done up a new cafe downstairs. Jump in there and grab some food. They've got some really nice food, a baby or two, and chew the fat, as they say. All right, guys, I really need to get off because I have my team meeting and I'm losing my voice. So I will talk to you guys next week. I'll leave the chat box open. So if you do have any other questions that you'd like to ask or get answered, or any other comments, chuck them in there. And I will see you all next week or tomorrow night. Cheers. Thanks, guys.